and welcome to The Spread, NESN's Football Picks podcast for NFL Week 4. I am NESN.com's Mike Cole, joined, as always, and once again, I suppose, back in the flesh by Ricky Doyle. Ricky, it's nice to have you back in the office.
I'm a lot more comfortable.
This will probably go slightly better than last week.
I did not have the hotel doors slamming, vacuuming going on, poor lighting, poor sound,
microphone. I don't think
it's going to be in your presence.
There might not be a microphone in that laptop, I think.
No, yeah, that's something I got to look into. You know what? I do have a podcast microphone for that very reason.
Yeah.
It's not something you think of when you're packing.
No,
I'm more worried about. I got the toothbrush, got the deodorant. It was a wedding, so I had a lot going on there with like suits and ties and things of that nature. Podcast microphone just didn't make the cut.
Yeah, and you never know if you get caught in a Jack Jones situation there where it's
I am a
loaded
podcast
mic
when I go through airport security. I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but there's always just that weird feeling like you're gonna get yelled at.
Apparently, you can get off with just community service though if you bring a loaded handgun through. So we should probably stop stressing so much about how much shampoo is in our bags.
You know what I did do for the first time because I got roped into this was you know that where you stare into the thing, it's called Clear or whatever. And
maybe I haven't flown in forever.
They read your eyes.
Yeah.
More or less, it's like facial recognition. And the guy came up to me and he's like, "Hey, you flying by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's, "You want to skip the line?" Sure as hell do.
Goddamn
Next
right.
thing I know, but I gotta remember to cancel it though because otherwise I'll be spending it's like a couple $100 a year.
Oh jeez, yeah. That's a good little travel tip right there.
Secret of the pros.
Yeah. Did you watch football last week, or were you too busy?
No,
traveling across the desert.
Yeah, I watched plenty of it.
Any takeaways? I mean, I don't have a whole lot. We knew going in last week it was not a great week of football. I think you want to get to something about the cream rising to the top at this point.
Yeah, that's my biggest takeaway is that it kind of feels to me like we're already starting to separate the who the best teams in the NFL are, and they're some familiar faces or teams that we thought would be good coming into this year. I think you're seeing that. 3 undefeated teams left: Dolphins, Eagles, Niners. Obviously, they're in tier 1, tier 2.
They're not bad. And then Buffalo, even after that week 1 slip up on Monday night against the Jets, which was in hindsight, and especially when we get to when December rolls around, we're gonna be like, can you believe they lost that week 1 game? And it might cost them. They are plus money to win that division, where the Dolphins are minus 140 at this point, largely because it's a divisional loss. So that might come back to hurt them, but they can go a long way in eradicating that this week. Game of the week.
Yeah.
Orchard Park, Dolphins and Bills on a Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock. So, I mean, that's those teams are right there.
Chiefs
right
bouncing back.
Yep. That reminds me, we will not be doing Taylor Swift talk. I know that's it's gonna come off as a hardo take. I
was dying to get your take on it.
I've just seen it too many places. It's just she went to the football game. She's a mega star. I get it. Not taking anything away from her. We're already talking about it too much, but you're gonna rope me into it.
No,
I'm offer up a take here.
I'm not as against it. I get I'm not as annoyed as I thought I would be by the whole situation.
It's not that I'm annoyed necessarily.
I'm buying in on it.
So I'm not annoyed by Taylor Swift. For the first time in my life, I'm not annoyed by Travis Kelce. I'm annoyed by, and we're just as guilty of this, the content game and everything that comes with it, where it's the NFL is putting out tweets about here's how to play football and here are the rules of football. But I will say, you look at the TV rating numbers, women, females, 12 to 17, were sky high for that Chiefs game. So I think it clearly had an impact.
I gotta think merchandise sales for Mr. Kelce are going way up.
Fair point. So she is the biggest star on the planet, so it's understandable. All right. So it's more of a reflection of my brain. I don't have enough bandwidth to formulate any real opinion or take or really care at all about this.
And to your original point, it's the content overload, right? That gets you, and as we feed into it right now.
I know. It's I'm saying, I'm oh, now you're doing
the actual the scenics from Sunday and whatnot. I didn't have anything wrong with that. I found it weirdly wholesome. I think it's gonna work. I think these two are destined for greatness.
Oh, God.
Celebrity.
We are
power
really.
couple.
We're doing it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Why?
He's such a
It's
meathead.
but it's
meathead.
Chaotically functionable. Is it it's volatile?
She's
it's
not
combustible. You know, it's
don't
going to be
want-
plenty of razzle. It's like the Chiefs' offense. Like, it's going to be – there'll be moments where you scratch your head and you roll your eyes, but at the end of the day, it's going to work.
I was about to fire off a take on her, and I was like, the last thing I want to do is have
No, this could be the spread that really lands.
That's actually true. Maybe we should lean into it. I just think I think he's a rockhead. He's
sure, but like
it's weird that like
that's why
she's
it's part of
meeting
what's
his
working.
mom 2 days
yeah.
into it or whatever. The whole thing, I like it's.
But like it's not. You know what? Is that fake though? Like I don't know. Like she doesn't.
I
need
think
that.
everything.
She's the biggest star on the planet. For Christ's
Everything
sake.
with any celebrity involved has to be questioned.
Right. Well, you know what? I think that's part of it. What's like oddly fascinating to me too is like what goes on behind the scenes to lead to them finally getting together. Like obviously he's shooting a shot publicly,
Yeah.
but like what happens after that? Like do the PR teams get together? Are they, like when do they start chatting? Like,
There was a. Did you see the thing that went viral?
she talked about astrology, and then like that's when she's like, "Hey, like what time were you born or whatever?" And he's texting his mom, and that's how the mom thing came in. Like I need to know
maybe
how did this come to be?
there was like a supposed cheat sheet for her of like Kansas City Chiefs history and like NFL. Like it basically had. Here's the name of the Chiefs mascot. Here, like the 10 best players in Chiefs history. Like Len Dawson was on the list. It's like when the Chiefs are on offense, be quiet. When they're on defense,
she was
make
into
noise.
the game, not overly into it. Like not, I thought it was all right.
The
I'm
LFG
okay with it.
that was pretty sick. That's a good gif of her.
Right? Yeah,
I'll give her.
Felt genuine to me.
But is it though? She knows every camera in the place is on her.
Who knows?
I know.
like to think so.
But I think if it's her versus him, she's always going to come off more authentic because I just think he's a squid. I really do.
Sure.
Like,
She can do better.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's just he just doesn't seem. I don't know. I don't want to overstate her
guy, though. I'll give him
intellect.
that. He is a good-looking dude. You know, like,
He's.
this is just a good-looking couple. You know?
I tell you what, the thing that interests me about it, we're doing 5 minutes on it, is like she's the number one celebrity in that stadium on Sunday. Obviously, it's not even close. Like dwarfs Patrick Mahomes. Like that's what I love about it. It's got to be almost humbling for like him. Not to mind his dingling brother and his wife. Like it's just you get stuffed in a locker. You think you're cool because you do TikTok dances. Like that's Taylor Swift in the box.
Isn't
man.
it crazy how like Kansas City is now like the epicenter of NFL star power? Like this is like we always
like even
we've talked in
Andy
the past-
Reid's on commercials.
Yeah, like we've made the comparison in the past. Like how does this what the Chiefs have going on equate to the Patriots dynasty? And like there was that moment in time where it was all in New England. Felt like everything was in New England. All the stars were in New England. The power couples in New England. Now like everything's in Kansas City.
It's true. It's like it's very like apples to apples too for a lot of it. It's
Yeah.
like the quarterback to the like a tight end. The coach is its own brand.
Yeah, he's his own little, weird little entity.
Yeah, there are two towns that are just completely unremarkable in the grand scheme of the
Yes.
country. It's wild. So,
Nice.
so there we go. I said we're not going to do Taylor Swift, and we did
It's
3
10
or 4
minutes.
minutes.
Out of it.
God damn it, I hate myself. All right, so yeah, we're gonna get into our picks. Change things up at the end of the show. We're both kind of taking a break from show and tell this week. We'll get into something else. We still haven't
Just run out of items.
we really haven't figured out what we're gonna do.
The house was too clean.
I've had mine's too messy. So it's been a week. So let's you want to get into it? Go into our picks. Last week you went 10-6 overall on NESN.com and NESNBets.com. I went 8-8. I don't remember how you did on your picks for the show. I only hit my 2-unit. Struggled with the other ones. How about
I had
you?
clean sweep.
Did you? Good job.
Well, you had it the previous week, so
Yes.
lofty expectations were set.
I felt good about mine too. I'll pull them up right now. The Vikings felt like it was going to be a win, and the Chiefs, Bears under, like the Bears stay. And the only
So one of mine was the
Kelce backdoored me.
Bills Commanders under, and it almost played out how when we were saying like how does this not fall under, and really the only path that I was the Bills
It's
posted.
the same thing with one. It was like with the Chiefs. If they
Yeah,
score
so-
50 points, they go
and
over
we
by
almost got
themselves,
there.
yeah.
We almost got there,
Yeah.
but
All right, so what's your 3-unit play this week?
so I'm gonna stick with this whole Chiefs theme.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go under with the Chiefs. At the Jets under 42.5. So I mean, for me, the Jets, they feel like a team that could give the Chiefs problems. with an actual quarterback.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't have an actual quarterback makes me want to stay away from picking a side in this game. Jets have been an under team for really 2 seasons now. 16 of their last 20 games have gone under 41.5. That's 80%. 14 of their last 15 have stayed under that number. According to Action Network, unders hit in primetime games at a 60% clip over the last 4 years. So that's another trend sort of working in your favor. But I just think, like we've talked about in previous weeks, this Chiefs team now is sort of reinventing itself. I know we saw the offense come alive against Chicago on Sunday, but I thought that spoke more about Chicago than it did Kansas City. Like, the Bears defense and offense is just a total mess right now. I think you go up against a legitimate defense, and the Jets, you're going to see some offensive regression. So it's a fairly low number when you factor in the an offense as talented as the Chiefs. But I don't know how much you're going to get from the Jets. And I think this could turn into a little bit more of a rock fight than we've seen from the Chiefs over the years. I think this is just a classic example of like where they're becoming more of a defensive team, and they're going to have these fights that end in final scores that you haven't seen in previous years.
Yeah, I like that. I was actually looking at the
Jets can't do anything.
I was looking at the side on this one, and it opened at Chiefs. According to the NESN Bets live odds page, it opened the Chiefs laying 7.5 on the road. It's now all the way up to 9.5. I don't feel nearly as confident with that because I do think the Jets have an elite defense. I don't know. Like, I thought about taking the Chiefs because the Chiefs defense has been borderline elite.
Yeah, it's good.
Through 3 weeks, but I ultimately, like, the offense hasn't looked anywhere close to what we've seen in the past. So, yeah, I think the under is probably the way to play it there.
What's the maximum amount of points the Jets score in this game?
13.
Right?
So, like if you 30-13, you get a bad beat, but, like.
Yeah, but I think the Jets defense is good enough to hold them with
that's
under
fair.
30
Yeah.
points. So,
So there we go. There we are. Yeah, no, I like that. It's just the Jets they just signed Trevor Siemian, so you never know.
Keep an eye on that number.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, is that
get in now while you can.
Let's call up the expert and say, how does that affect the line and the total? So,
also, how about like just underratedly the Dolphins stealing Mike White from underneath their nose this offseason, and like they could really use him now.
Well, like it was a great move by the Dolphins because the Dolphins needed it with Tua's injury history.
Simultaneously hurting your opponent and adding a good backup.
I would love to see, by the way, Mike White in that offense now. Like he could probably throw for 400 yards the way Tua's been slinging it. So.
If nothing else, the team likes him.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Step in the right
direction.
direction.
Yeah, that's the other thing with the Jets. Not to get off the beaten path, but like they had a borderline mutiny last year, right? And now we're just like, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Is it a Joe Douglas thing? Is it a Robert Saleh thing? Like Saleh, I do every time. It's like it trips me up. Because if it's him and he's just like, no, we're rolling with Zach Wilson. Like he's just as culpable. I know, like Tim Boyle's their backup, but like somebody's at fault here, and it's a dereliction of duty because they have such a good. Like just because you have Aaron Rodgers potentially coming back next year doesn't mean you can just punt on this year.
Yeah, I would think that when you
he's
got
so
Aaron
bad.
Rodgers. The move there is, in hindsight,
Thank you.
It's to just move on from Zach Wilson and bring in a viable veteran backup. I mean, look, the 49ers moved on from Trey Lance just like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to stick with Zach
Especially
Wilson.
when, like, the 49ers are in the same boat. When you hit on, like, 90% of your other draft picks, it doesn't look nearly as bad to give up on the one horrible quarterback pick you made. Like, it's a tough break, but you should feel good with the rest of your roster. I mean, he's just, like, getting in the way. It's bad. And I mean, I'm not.
No
this
trust
is not
there too. It's just like it's ugly.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lost season. So, all right. For my 3-unit play, before I get into it, I want to do a quick thought exercise.
Okay.
Who are the worst teams in the NFL?
I gotta start with the Bears.
Okay.
Yeah. That I was looking at it earlier. So they've got a NFL worst minus 59 point differential, which is pretty impressive when. One of the other candidates for this just lost by 50.
Yep.
So yeah, I gotta go Bears.
Anybody else? Who else is down there in that tier with them?
If you're Broncos, certainly look the part.
Yeah.
In the Panthers, I think the Panthers. But the thing about the Panthers is I think that you'll see enough good out of them this year to feel like there's a sense of direction. It's not like I don't know, an ugly, like they'll be in some games.
So I appreciate this worked exactly the way I expected it or hoped it would. If you ask a lot of football fans, smart people, that question, I feel
so outside this room, right?
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of that. You're gonna get Denver. Why don't the Giants come up in that conversation?
I'm with you.
So there's been nothing encouraging about the Giants this season. I mean, yeah, they came back and won against Arizona in week 2.
They sucked last year too,
but they weren't good. They weren't great last year. You were on that train the entire year.
Oh.
They're laying a 1.5 on Monday night against Seattle. I'm taking Seattle getting the 1.5. I think Seattle opened as a favorite and it's been bet down. So somebody loves something somewhere. I don't know if it's an injury thing. The Seahawks have been very, very beaten up. But it sounds like Jamal Adams is going to make his season debut. Reek Woolen nearing a return, could be back. So that secondary is about to get a shot in the arm. Left tackle Charles Cross could be back as well. But this is more a fate of the Giants. I mean, what is there to like? They rank 31st in overall DVOA. They rank 29th in offense, 31st in defense. By EPA tiers, they're in a class with the Jets, Bears, and Broncos through 3 weeks. 27th in EPA offense, 30th in EPA defense, 30th in yards per play, 28th in yards per play allowed. They have a worse point differential than Denver, who just lost by 50 points. And Chicago is the only one that has a worse point differential. They've basically been the Bears, but with less bad press. Maybe it comes this week. Maybe they put it together. Maybe there's enough institutional knowledge with Dayball being a good coach or whatever. Maybe they find a way. I need to see it first. You look at Geno's been quietly good. By EPA plus completion percentage over expectation, he ranks 8th in the NFL. That makes him by far, at least pretty close to by far. Nice job. The best quarterback the Giants have had to face this season. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be
a gun on Dayball.
Maybe.
And I say that the collective I don't know if you and I did necessarily, but and I'm not even saying he's a bad coach by any means. He could be a very good coach.
Yeah.
But I'm saying so much stock was put into their hot start last season, which everything said it was not sustainable. They were just pulling games out of their ass left and right, and it ultimately caught up with them. But they won the one playoff game, so I don't know, I think the jury's still kind of out on him, and I also think that roster, you can throw all the numbers out there, but just from a roster standpoint, it ain't good.
No,
it doesn't
the
look good.
Receiving core is still Daniel Jones is a guy. I mean, I guess Saquon could be back this week. There's a chance he plays. Maybe that's somebody knows something, but
but they don't do anything particularly well. They don't have one accentuated strength that you're oh, well, that's a team that has a great defensive line.
And I look at this Seahawks team, they have a hiccup from time to time, as I have a hiccup. But they're going to come in with a good game plan. They're going to be well coached. They're pretty disciplined. I guess the Giants have the rest advantage here, having played going Thursday to Monday. But again, they haven't shown it to me, so I like the Seahawks here, and getting the 1.5. But I'd probably take them on the money line. What's your 2-unit play?
2-unit. I'm gonna stick with the unders. I'm gonna go Commanders traveling to Philadelphia, face the Eagles, under 45.5. This for me, I feel very similarly about this game that I did going into last week with that Washington-Buffalo game, where I just feel like Philadelphia can do a lot of the same things defensively that Buffalo can and did. Bills pressured Sam Howell on 67% of the plays, while blitzing him just 16% of the time. Sacked him 9 times. Isn't that the hallmark of the Philadelphia defense too?
Yeah.
Being able to have the advantage up front. Don't necessarily need to bring the extra man in order to create pressure. Philadelphia also has the number 1 run defense according to Pro Football Focus. So, if Washington thinks that they can just, trot in there and lean on their ground game and grind this thing out, I think they got another thing coming. It just feels like a high total. Because, again, I don't know where the offense is going to come from for Washington. And then on the flip side of that, Philadelphia, they're still sort of rounding into form, especially offensively. their running game's been really good, but we haven't really seen the aerial attack just
Mm-hmm.
yet. So I think they will lean on the ground game and keep the clock moving. So this feels like just an under game to me. Eagles low 20s, Commanders struggling to put any points whatsoever on the board.
Yeah, I like that one. And that was another one where that opened from a side standpoint at 7, and I was like, that's the thing. You got to move quick sometimes if you want to bet sides. And it's almost, a lot of times it's better to make your bets on Sunday night, Monday morning than it is obviously on Sunday morning, because that opened at 7, and I was like, that doesn't feel right, because I'm with you. I'm not sure what Washington can do offensively here.
They've allowed 19 sacks over the last 2 weeks.
Have they really?
Yeah.
That's a lot. And
next up on the agenda is the Eagles.
Yeah, the Bills have a good defense, but they're still down. Von Miller up front. Like now you've got that's gonna be a tough scene.
And I snuck under the under because of the 37 points that Buffalo put up, but one of those was a pick six. So I think Washington's defense is capable of holding its own, especially in this matchup. So that's why I think ultimately I steered away from the side and looked more at the total in this game, because it could turn into a little bit of a dogfight.
That's a game where there were a couple of these last week where the Chiefs game, there was another one where I was the 49ers on Thursday night. I was ready to lay the points, and whatever. It's a lot, but I just think this is going to be a curb stomping. My 2-unit play is kind of zigging and zagging now, where I'm going to take care.
What we do here.
Yeah, I'm going to take Arizona, catching 14 at San Francisco. I don't think the Cardinals are good, but the numbers say they've been decent. They're a top 10 DVOA team through 3 weeks. The offense is ranked 8th. The defense is 16th. 6th in yards per play. Maybe that keeps the back door open when it's 14 points. I don't know. I also look at the fact that, sure, their strength of schedule has not been overly impressive. They went to Washington. They lost that. They opened a huge lead against the Giants, lost that. And then beat the Cowboys last week, which was a very nice win. But it's not like the 49ers have had a tough schedule. That game at Pittsburgh in week 1 looks a lot softer now than it did to begin with. Then they had to go to the Rams, a team that they've notoriously beat the piss out of. And they played the Giants last week. And we just got done talking about how bad the Giants are.
So, them.
I don't know. I maybe the 49ers aren't quite as good as we think they are. And hopefully, from my standpoint here, the Cardinals aren't as bad as maybe people think they are. I guess maybe the value is a little bit gone after they just won a game last week. Now they're not going to necessarily sneak up on anybody, including the Niners. But I will say, San Francisco, they got Dallas next week. Look ahead spot, maybe. I don't know. I like what Dobbs has done at quarterback. He's actually been one of the in the top half of the league. I think they've probably been slept on a little bit. And also the other thing here is the total is, I think, 44. So you're taking a ton of points in what projects to be a relatively low-scoring game. I don't know. I guess this is just an old betting tenet, but lower-scoring game, take the points type of deal. So I like the Cardinals. They're kind of feisty.
It's kind of funny how the Cardinals. I mean, look, we'll probably get to the end of the year and they'll have a couple of top 5 picks or whatever.
Yeah, they'll be 3-14.
But there was, there's a lot of talk coming into the year that they might end up with the number 1 and number 2 pick by virtue of having their first rounder and the Texans' first rounder. Now it's looking like the Bears might be that team because they'll have their first rounder and the Panthers' first rounder. That's a combined 0-6 right there. Yeah. So those two teams are. It'd be interesting to see how those dominoes fall as far as draft position goes. But yeah, the Cardinals have. To your point, they've looked good. They look like they're. I guess they're for me, almost the NFC version of the Texans. They're sometimes it's inexplicable how they're gonna stay in these games, and you never really feel comfortable with it. But you look at that type of spread, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, and
there's a path there.
I'm not saying they're gonna win the game.
Yeah,
but 14's a lot. So if they just continue to play tough, they've got a chance. So
what a perfect Cowboys loss too, huh?
I know.
Get caught peeking ahead to Bill Belichick's arrival the following week, and then that Niners matchup. Like, ugh.
Yep. So, what's your 1 unit play?
1 unit. I'm gonna go across the pond for the London game.
Sure.
Kick off the old international series.
Great
Set
Sunday.
your
We got
alarm.
Ryder Cup, London game.
This is
1 o'clock slate.
and what a
Love it.
perfect London game. Falcons and Jaguars.
Jesus Christ.
I'm
Perpetual London.
gonna go. Yeah, they could just play the rest of the slate out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over 43.5. And really, it's just I think this is just a good spot to buy low on 2 offenses with undeniable talent at the very least. I think you got
one of them has talent.
yeah. Well,
So I guess you'll get into it, but what's the Chargers run defense like?
not very good.
Okay,
Nothing
'cause,
about
like,
the Chargers defense.
the
very good.
Did I say the Chargers? The Jaguars.
Jaguars defense is
Run defense.
is pretty good.
So the Falcons.
So they might
can't
not
throw
be
the
able
ball.
to do it.
Yeah.
So
go on.
So again, this is another pick where I guess I would lean Jaguars laying the 3 points, but I just think for some reason that the Falcons are a little too feisty for me to feel totally comfortable with that. But I will admit, the overplay here is predicated a lot on the Jaguars bouncing back offensively, probably more so than the Falcons. I just think a lot has. And look, I'm not high on the Jaguars at all this year. I thought their run last year was a little bit fluky. They took advantage of some poor quarterback play. I mean, the comeback in the playoff game is whatever. But that being said, I also don't think they're as bad as we've seen at points through the last couple of weeks, especially. 29th in third down conversion percentage, 8 drop passes, tied with the Chiefs for the most in the NFL. So things like that I expect to even out a little bit. They did average 5.9 yards per play against the Texans. I mean, if you extrapolate that over a full season, that'd be good for 5th in the NFL right now. So Trevor Lawrence has been good. 3rd highest graded quarterback in the NFL behind Tua and Mahomes. So this feels like a good get-right spot for that Jaguars offense. As far as the Falcons go, I mean, their offense is a little bit of a mystery, right? I think I'm just kind of banking on the playmakers stepping up against the Jaguars defense that I still have some questions about. That's ultimately what makes me go to the over here because to your point, there's a chance that the Falcons aren't able to generate much this week. I mean, when you score 6 points against the Lions, it's a pretty damning evaluation of your offense. But again, that's it's why I'm buying low on them. I think that this is a chance for them to get back and at least look similar to what they were in week 1 when they were able to put up 25 points or something like that. So 43.5 manageable total. But yeah, like I said, mostly I think it's the Jaguars offense that I'm most interested in seeing this week.
Fair enough. I don't have a whole lot else to add. I mean, do you know what channel that game's on?
No, I don't. Probably
it's on one
probably
of those,
sleep through
I hope
it.
it's
Going
not
to a music festival this weekend.
Oh,
so
wow.
probably be driving home on
Taylor
Sunday
Swift?
morning. Yeah.
My 1 unit play, I'm not crazy about this one the more I think about it, but I'm going to take the Chargers laying 6 at home against
It's quickly
Vegas.
becoming a 0 unit play.
Yeah, pretty much. Garoppolo, concussion protocol, doesn't sound like he's going to play, right? I mean, if quarterback in concussion protocol doesn't usually bode well, we'll find out.
I wouldn't think so.
But I'm basically fading that. So it's either Brian Hoyer, who stinks, or Aiden O'Connell, who's a rookie and might also stink. I wonder, too, if...
Did you see Josh McDaniels' response to the questioning on Monday?
Yeah.
He just kind of was all over the place.
So,
right?
Staley's not a good coach. I mean, Staley's got his own problems with the 4th down and all that stuff. I mean, these two are just going to out-dumb each other or try to. So, I think, Staley against a replacement-level coach, they don't have, obviously whoever's on the other side is going to have the advantage. I'm not sure if McDaniels gives them a replacement-level coach. He's proved to be a pretty good offensive coordinator when he has Tom Brady. Everything else is very much up for debate. And they haven't found a way to run the ball, right? And so now I think the Chargers come into this game and pretty much pin their ears back. because you look at. I thought this was great from the Athletic. I saw that the Raiders have faced loaded boxes, 8 or more defenders. 39.7% of their offensive plays this year. That's 9th. That's up big time from last year at 30% when they were, I think, 27th. So teams are finally just saying, like, you know what? Try to run on us. And they're just not letting Josh Jacobs run on them. And so, like, now you bring in a backup quarterback. What's the game plan? Like, offensively, you're not going to air it out with Brian Hoyer. You're going to try to run the ball even more. So I just imagine, stack it up even more. They haven't had a deep passing game, really. Like, it's just teams are using, from that same story, teams are using less high safety looks. Just, everybody who's played the Raiders so far this year has pretty much said, you're not going to run the ball on us. And it's worked. And I just think, doing that doing that when you've got a backup quarterback on the other side, I just don't know how the Raiders get much going. Like, Staley should be fired if Devontae Adams goes off here. Like, that's the one thing that you have to worry about, right? It's just, and I know they've had troubles with top flight receivers this year, but can you do one thing for me? Can you just take away that one player and just double them, bracket them, do whatever you have to do? And if that's the case, I don't know where the Vegas offense comes from. 6 feels like a lot, especially in the division, but I do wonder too if maybe the Chargers just needed that one to get off the mat last week. So I'll lay the points here with the Chargers.
This game could have serious first coach fired.
Yeah, right.
Odds.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I mean, especially if the Chargers didn't pull out that game against Minnesota in Week 3.
They should.
If they were both, if they had lost that game and Vegas is at the point that they are right now, you could be talking about loser leaves town.
Yeah, and like the 4th down thing is whatever, but I just like Staley clearly had it at least until last week, and even then you can debate it. Like if they lose this week or if they lose next week, like you can't wait forever. I know you have the luxury of a young quarterback, but like you got to strike while the iron's hot, and like what are they going to wait till they're 2-6 to fire him? Like no, I think they would have to act soon. That's why I think if they had lost last week, they probably should have done it then.
Yeah.
You're getting flashbacks to your hotel room.
Yeah, can you know that? Yeah, there's a lot of activity going on outside the door.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting too about the Garoppolo concussion stuff is like how he was also just like, yeah, I don't know when it happened. Like this is Monday morning. Like I hadn't talked to him. Like I haven't talked to him yet. I don't know exactly when. Could have just been a culmination of things. Like, aren't we at a point now where like
is that how brains work?
You should be more on top of things, I guess.
You would
like,
think.
I mean, look, I get like sometimes concussions are difficult to detect in the moment, but like he got the crap kicked out of him. Like it was pretty. Like I might want to go over and be like, dude, you feeling all right?
Yeah,
you're taking a beat now.
And like to that point, like I mean, Pittsburgh has a great pass rush, but the Chargers do too. So like they probably shouldn't play him, even if he's
that's a good
kind
point.
of close to being 100%, because it feels like you're asking for more trouble. So, all right, cool. What do you want to do?
These good games this weekend, though.
They are,
because like we didn't really touch on Dolphins Bills too much.
No,
and like last I saw, Buffalo was laying 2.5.
2.5 was basically home field, and that's it.
So
Thursday night got a good one. Packers Lions.
Patriots Cowboys
looks better now.
Even Baltimore Cleveland looks pretty good.
So
we didn't touch on any of the good games.
Yeah, we just talk about the bad.
But what do you think of that? Like the Miami Buffalo game? What's your overarching outlook on that?
I think I would have to take Buffalo here. Or no, I was thinking about this earlier. I looked at it. And I guess you take the points. No, I've talked myself out of that one quick take because like I just think if there's Miami clearly has a gear that I don't think Buffalo has. And the Bills' defense, I think, is pretty good. It looked a lot better last 2 weeks. And I mean, really, if they look good week 1, albeit against Zach Wilson coming off the bench. So, like, there's a chance that they stymie the Dolphins' offense. But it's hard for me to lay points against that offense until I see someone stop it and put forth a blueprint.
It is wild.
You know what I mean? Like, they just scored 70 points.
It's like one of the more impressive displays of scheme matching up perfectly with the roster's strengths, the ability of the roster. Like you have all this speed, you also have the coaching mind to be able to get the most out of that speed. You have the quarterback who's accurate enough to get the ball into those guys' hands. Yep. Like it's different, Like when you watch that, you're like, oh, there's something going on there.
Man, they scored 70 points. Like that was a college football score last
That
week.
said, though, I might take Buffalo this weekend. So my argument with that is like,
Yeah.
so Buffalo to me. So what we've seen Miami in, the track meet with the Chargers.
Yep.
We've seen them, in an uglier game with New England. Like I feel like Buffalo is a good blend of
That's fair.
the
Yeah.
Chargers and New England. Like they'll be able to keep up if it does turn into a little bit of a shootout, but at the same time, they can do much of what New England did defensively to slow them down a little bit. That's my logic in that.
No, yeah,
maybe
that makes a lot
reverse
of sense.
engineering.
No,
it
it makes
here,
sense. Yeah, I'm probably overreacting to what I saw last week,
which is
when,
what I'm trying not to do. But yeah,
Yeah.
It has been impressive, but especially last week.
They did have out Jalen Waddle too.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
nuts. So, all right, we're not doing show and tell this week. We've got a new idea. I've got a pack
I like
of
this.
football cards here. What are we gonna do? Do you want me to open them up and I'll go through them and I'll tell you. You tell me when to stop, and
Okay.
we'll just pick a guy and we'll bet him as like first touchdown.
Yeah,
scorer
yeah.
Or something, okay?
We'll,
All right.
it'll lead into a discussion. This is how we get to the big
Yeah.
games. We leave it up to the spread gods.
I hope there's like a life-changing
How many are in there?
autograph in here. 15 cards.
And these are all 2023.
These are 2023. So, do you want me to read them off, or you want me to just kind of
No,
go
shuffle
through?
the deck, and I'll close my eyes and pick one.
Oh, this looks like a card.
I'll
that
probably
could
get
be
the
worth
instruction.
something
What
here.
is that? MLB
Oh, that's a good card. Well,
MLB
so-
Showdown. What was that game with the dice?
I got a Rob
20-sided
Gronkowski,
dice.
So I'm gonna take that one out.
Is that him in Arizona?
Yeah, these are like
Wow.
kind of college based. Oh, this looks like a cool card. That's clear. Stetson Bennett probably not playing this week.
Yeah, I gotta think that
Deion,
he's out.
Deion Sanders. So that's
All
not
right.
gonna be all right. But what do you want me to do?
Just I'll shuffle them up. I'll pick one. We'll see who I get.
Hold on.
I don't know what we're gonna do from there, but
Well,
we'll
let me just
figure
make
that
sure
out
we
on the
got
fly.
offensive players here.
Doesn't matter.
Does Eric?
I think a good punter.
Play? Okay.
Johnny Hecker in there.
Will Levis probably not playing this week. This is riveting.
It's gonna be about 3 cards left.
Jalen Carter. Donnell Washington.
Yeah?
Yep. Okay,
Uh,
I'm not gonna take them. All right.
Just hand me a card. All right.
That's the one you want to take.
This is the one. Ooh, Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
So, I don't know. Like,
So, all right.
what do you want to talk about?
This is one. I actually really like this.
Okay.
I really like the. All right. So who do we got? Let me pull up this matchup.
Cincy and they're playing the Titans this week.
Right. I like
Cincinnati
Jamar getting
laying
in the
2.5.
end zone this week.
It's about time.
Right? Like this is. We'll be 1 week removed from. The Joe Burrow injury. I imagine he'll look a little bit better because they were just trying to get by on Monday night.
Yep.
Yeah. The Titans. I mean, we just saw Deshaun Watson finally. Look, viable against them.
The Titans might stink.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I think I need to reassess my my Titans calibration where it's they're getting points. Let's just go with it. I don't think so anymore.
Yeah.
So
I love this. I love the Jamar Chase anytime touchdown this weekend.
all right.
I like that before the card. Now I like it even more.
So the other cards I have here, and this could have gotten fun, is Eric Gray, Justin Fields. That one would have been a hoot.
Oh yeah.
What a mess that is.
Yeah.
Xavier Hutchinson, receiver. Tank Dell, who is actually played pretty well. Zay Flowers, another one. C.J. Stroud, and nice acetate Baker Mayfield.
So Zay Flowers. So are you buying into Cleveland yet? No, they got Baltimore coming up this weekend.
It's a big one this week.
Yeah. I think both those teams are good.
And I got to see it one more week with Deshaun Watson, but it looked much better. So there's that.
When do they play later in the year? Look at this up on the fly.
Bryce Young.
Let's say if that's a game where what do we got?
This has devolved into just
total chaos.
chaos. You like these old school designs?
They
though?
play in
Like-
November.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, I picked.
Did
the
you
wrong,
get just a pack
I
or
picked
did you
the
get a
wrong
box?
pack. I got another. No, I didn't get a box.
You should have got a box. man.
I wish. I would. If I had the money, I would get back into cards. I love cards. But I picked the wrong one. I will not buy these anymore because
There's a lot going on.
it's too much rookies, too many
a lot of
college.
college. So I should mention that, right? The Jamar Chase card that I picked out of your hand after an 8-card shuffle, whatever that was. Is it from LSU?
Yeah,
So
it's
not even in with the Bengals.
Love
but
that early '90s Donruss design too. That's a nice card.
Good card.
Wow.
Put in your bike spokes.
Put in my binder when I get home. All right. Anything else, Ricky?
No, that's it.
All right, let's get out of here before we get in any more trouble. That's Ricky. I'm Mike. Make sure to check out our picks at nesnbets.com later in the week. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.